No matter what lies beneath the surface, water remains level. In a way, the same could be said for the Steelers and Ravens rivalry. No matter the ups and downs each team has encountered, when it comes to this matchup, everything seems to even itself out.
We're ready for Baltimore week to culminate here this afternoon with the first of two meetings between these two clubs.
Records are irrelevant. The venue, an afterthought. It's pure, unadulterated football. And the next chapter in this storied rivalry would not disappoint.
Here we go. This pass is caught and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers and Ravens rivalry is considered one of the best and most physical in all of sports. Every time these two teams meet, it seems to be an instant classic, and Sunday's game at Heinz Field was certainly no exception. For 45 minutes, the defenses held the edge, surrendering only 13 points, which then set the stage for a fourth quarter offensive explosion. For more on the Steelers' comeback win over the Ravens, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin. Bob.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. We welcome in Hey, Coach Mike Tomlin after an inspiring win, especially in the fourth quarter comeback against a team like the Ravens on top of this division. I guess the word to use, Coach, is epic. It was a typical Ravens-Steelers finish.
It was. I wish we didn't have to always use that. I wish we could get the job done in a smoother fashion, but such is life, man. We just got so much respect for those guys and the games that we put on with them, and we have an understanding that, you know, the significant plays need to be made usually in the significant moments and circumstantial or situational ball down the stretch, and really we prepare for it. And I think that's one of the reasons why the guys embrace delivering under those circumstances. They just have so much evidence of how these games unfold that we really spend the week preparing ourselves for such.
Coach, you've had an uncanny ability to really contain Lamar Jackson and force him into making mistakes. You did that on Sunday. What's the key to that, and did you increase your amount of blitzing?
I don't think you can throw any one thing at him. He's too talented, and now he's gained too much experience. I think you got to spin the dial. I think you got to work to reduce the amount of grass that you play in, meaning you got to set good edges. And I thought particularly our outside linebackers did that in the game. And that allowed us to kind of keep him bottled up and give us a better chance or a better chance at second chances at times. Because oftentimes he makes the first would-be tackler or sacker miss, and it's the second or third guy. But that's able to happen because we had him playing in a tightly confined space. When you compete against somebody with a unique talent set like his, particularly in your division, you better make yourself very familiar with them, and you better have a nice mode of operation in terms of how you work against them. And I think we're gaining, some comfort there, at least in terms of what we need to do to play them. It doesn't make the job easy, but we have an understanding about how to play them.
First time since 2007, we saw 3.5 sack game performance by T.J. Watt. He also had 6 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for losses after dealing with COVID the entire week. I mean, back in 2007, James Harrison did that. He was Defensive Player of the Year. It would look like T.J.'s trending in that direction.
Well, I thought T.J. was the Defensive Player of the Year last year. I think he's at that type of a level where he's in the conversation in a very serious way every year. This year is no different. Man, he's making those necessary plays. He really is in the timely moments, and they're much appreciated.
And yet you still got some unbelievable performances by people who aren't routinely in there. What did it mean for Chris Wormley to play against his old team and come up with the effort he has? He's been playing a lot and playing well, but that was a career day for him.
I really think we talked about it being his former team and maybe that being a motivating factor, and I'm sure it was on some level, but I think largely, his play has been trending in that direction anyway. He's a guy that's been a rotational player for the vast majority of his career. due to circumstances with others, he's getting an opportunity to play and play a lot this year. And it's reasonable to expect a guy to grow within those circumstances and to blossom, and I think he's done that. I think he's finding his rhythm, and I think he's developing game that we're all pleasantly surprised about.
And you also got performances from a lot of guys like Montravius Adams. You just bring him in, and he was noticeable out there, as was John LeGlue. On Twitter, it's like hashtag LeGlue the glue. So, I mean, all it took was one performance, and all of a sudden stuff like this happens. As a coach, it's got to make you feel pretty good.
It makes me smile, man. You got to love Steeler Nation in their ability and willingness to support Steelers that are rising up. The same could be said about Robert Spillane last year when he had a big performance against the Tennessee Titans. But that's what this game is about. It's about opportunity. It's about guys rising up and not only performing for their teammates in the pursuit of victory, but also helping themselves in their careers and elevating themselves to a different place professionally. And it happens each and every Sunday, and it's not something that we take for granted. We appreciate it. We appreciate giving guys an opportunity to display it.
Ben Roethlisberger, he may have lost mobility, but boy, the experience factor, even the intangible factor in a game like that, how big was that for your team?
It's huge. Ben loves those moments more than anybody. I don't think there was any doubt in my mind what I was looking at as he was leading the offensive unit in the fourth quarter. I've just seen it so much over the years, and particularly in circumstances such as that versus an opponent like that. When stakes are high and when intensity's high, man, he's at his best. He relishes those competitive opportunities.
One final thing, that'd be a two-point conversion. You said you weren't surprised. Analytically, is that the call to make at that point of the game? Or, how much goes into that decision with regard to generally two-point conversions to win or lose a game?
It's not about right or wrong. It's about personality, and that is their personality. They're a consistently aggressive team when faced with similar or like circumstances. They probably go for it more than any team in football on 4th and 2 or less. And a two-point play is just what that is. When you have that type of quarterback mobility, it makes you very difficult to deal with in those circumstances. And so it's not surprising at all that was their mentality. As a matter of fact, it's been their mentality all of 2021.
And a big play by T.J. Watt once again to disrupt that little pass pattern and result in a win for the Steelers, who get to 6-5-1. And now a short week, Minnesota coming at you tomorrow night. When we come back, we'll talk to Coach Tomlin about the Vikings and the challenges they present in that dome in Minneapolis. Right now, let's send it back to Missy.
All right, thanks, Bob. And Watt's 3.5 sacks on Sunday now brings him to 16 total on the season. That's a career high for him. Although I must say the pressure on Lamar Jackson on the 2-point attempt might have been his best play of the game. With a half sack of Kirk Cousins tomorrow night, Watt will pass former Defensive Player of the Year James Harrison for the most sacks in a single season in Steelers history. Don't go anywhere. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. Are you 84 Lumber material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Pittsburgh and Minnesota enter this Week 14 matchup one game out of a playoff position. For the Vikings, they will be looking to rebound after back-to-back losses for the third time this season, and the Steelers' defense will certainly have its hands full with Kirk Cousins, who has thrown 25 touchdown passes so far this season. For more on the Vikings offense, let's send it back over to Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. Mike Tomlin heading back to Minnesota, and this is the first time you've encountered this team on the road in London, but the first time back at a place you used to work. Carry any special meaning for you?
At this point, probably not. There's not one person on the team that was on the team when I was there. As a matter of fact, one of the guys I coached, Antoine Winfield, his son now plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, we used to meet at the park and take our boys to the park. And so it's been a while. They play in a different venue. The old Metrodome is now gone, and so I'm excited about getting back, but I'm excited about going back and seeing what's new as opposed to seeing what's old and what's familiar.
Vikings are coming off a very tough loss at Detroit. Final play of the game, Goff throws a touchdown pass. So I'm just curious about your thoughts going into this game, knowing that they're going to be a pretty desperate football team.
As are we. This time of year, everybody's desperate, to be quite honest with you. Playoff pitchers and positioning is becoming clear. The road is getting narrow. I think desperation is a word that could describe a lot of us this time of year.
All right, what about Minnesota? They have some injuries on offense. Kirk Cousins still their quarterback. He can make plays, but he's had some issues with turnovers in critical times. But talk about what you must do to stop that team in that dome.
Kurt is a guy that's been so efficient, not only this year but over the course of his career. He's generally a good and fluid and swift decision maker. He spreads the ball around to a lot of eligibles. He's doing similar things this year. He also uses his backs and tight ends as well. Offensively, they're tough nut to crack. They're very multiple. They use a lot of personnel groups. They do a really good job of mixing the run and run action, quick game, changing the pockets in terms of launch points. They do a really good job of making themselves a tough nut to crack, and particularly on a short week, they really have our attention with the multitude of things that they do with their unit.
Justin Jefferson, you mentioned him. He's kind of risen up to elite status. He's there, makes big plays at big times. I'm sure you know a lot about him. What's it take to stop a guy like that? And coverage-wise, what do you do against their wide receiving game, which can be very good?
You just better work to stay out of one-on-one circumstances with him down the field. To really get familiar with the talent that they had in Baton Rouge a couple of years ago now is staggering when you look at Joe Burrow and Chase and the running back in Kansas City and Jefferson. I mean, it's not surprising that they won the national championship. I mean, these guys are tops in this league. Jefferson is good in them one-on-one circumstances. You better not be down the field with him too often by yourself. Even when there's often a safety, he's still pretty productive and successful at the things that he does. He's very good with the ball in his hand after the catch. He's fast and fluid. He's got good vision. He's just a real challenge, man. He's one of the talented young elite receivers in our game.
Harrison Smith on defense is a pretty good player for them. They got some guys who make plays, except they've walked this fine line all season long where they've lost games they could have won. That record says 5-7, but it could very easily be opposite of that.
They're missing some significant players as well. In their front, they're missing some defensive ends and so forth that really provide a quality rush for them. Like everybody this time of year, you have some people available to you, sometimes you don't. Pat Peterson is a guy that's significant for them that they acquired in the offseason. He missed a little bit of time with COVID to pair him in the secondary with Harrison Smith. I can't say enough about Harrison Smith. This is a guy that's really good on all levels of play. He's a good blitzer. He's a good run game tackler. He's good in pass defense, whether it's in center field or in deep half field. He's a good man-to-man cover guy. This guy's really put some quality tape out there since he's been in the National Football League from Notre Dame now, probably about 10 years ago.
Should be a great matchup. It's the Vikings and the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. And when we come back, we'll have Mike Tomlin's keys to the game. Right now, let's send it back over to Missy Matthews.
Thanks so much, Bob. Ben Roethlisberger, in his last 3 starts on Thursday Night Football, has thrown 12 touchdowns, no interceptions, and has a passer rating of 142. And with 242 passing yards tomorrow night, Roethlisberger can reach 3,000 yards in a season for the 15th time in his career, and he only needs 335 more yards to pass Phillip Rivers for the 5th most in NFL history. You're watching the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
When you don the black and gold, you instantly become a member of a community as passionate and hardcore as any other, Steelers Nation. It's only right that the team celebrates the men that have upheld that tradition over the years, and we had a chance to catch up with some legends earlier this season. Here's a preview.
James is considered Kevin Colbert's greatest free agent signing, and that exists to this day. The fact that they, after a while, not initially as I recall, they moved you inside, is that where you probably were at your best?
I feel that I played my best football when I was inside. I played outside linebacker on the line of scrimmage my first few years at the Jets, and once I moved to inside, and I felt like I was a better player when I could see what was going on and react from that instead of just having to be right now. When you're on the line of scrimmage, everything happens immediately. So I think moving back a little bit and give me time to process things helped my career out a lot.
You took up martial arts, and I'm wondering if that training helped you tomahawk guys across the wrist and forced fumbles like that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I met my congener, Master Kong. I met him through Terry Long. And when I went to Master Kong, you know, one of the first things that I told him is I want to work on my hands. And so, you know, that's what we did. And, you know, we've had this relationship for 30 plus years, 7th degree black belt now. Working your hands was a good thing. And so by the time I learned that, and I got to playing football, I could see there were certain places on a guy that I could hit. There were certain things that I could do to trap guys' hands that would, cause the balls to come out. And yeah, it becomes second nature. It's not something that you're thinking about. It's just something that you do.
Was there a moment like where you said, you know what, I'm all right. I'm all right. I can play in this league.
I would like to hear your moment.
I ain't gonna lie, it was 2007 when I first got my start. It was playing against Baltimore. And that game, that Monday night game, it was like I could do no wrong. And I felt like I wasn't even really trying. I was just
You had a debt to be paid.
Like, it was crazy.
One of the most special moments for me is my rookie year was, I came in, I think, with a lot of hype. So my rookie year wasn't like very successful at all. So after my second year, we went 15-1. Our defense was #1 in the league. Coach Cowher used to have this tradition because the way that they used to announce the Pro Bowl. So you would be able to announce the Pro Bowl in front of the team before you get home and find out on TV. Right. And we were 15-1. I think we had like 10 dudes in the Pro Bowl. But we get to number 11. And he says my name last, and then like the whole team just were so much more congratulatory towards me because they knew like my struggle was much different than theirs.
I know for me, I played safety my whole life, and they moved me to corner, and I needed somebody to like teach me how to play corner and not yell at me, and scream at me, cuss at me, and be great.
Right, exactly.
Right? But Rod Russ was really the guy to kind of initiate the switch in my brain. So we went into his office, we sat down, his first question to me is, how many formations can our offense get into? I was like, oh, shoot, coach, 500, 600, I don't know. He was like, how many eligible receivers? I was like, 5. He was like, they can get in 5 formations. I was like, what? You know, so pro, slot,
trips,
one backs,
2x2,
2x2, 3x1, that's it, that's all you can have, and empty. And we started watching film probably like 4 weeks into it, I'm like, ding!
Wow.
That green light clicked on. I was like, you got
it's that minimizing, like
that's
taking
it. That's all.
Yeah.
And then I just started believing everything I saw.
You know, that's one of the things that I tell myself all the time. I knew Mel Blount before he became Mel Blount. I knew Terry Bradshaw before he became Terry Bradshaw. And that's what you guys are talking about right now, is you're giving kudos to your coaches that allowed you to be yourself and learn the game the proper way from yourself.
And don't worry, we'll have more alumni interviews coming your way later this season on the Steelers official YouTube page. Well, Pittsburgh and Minnesota have not met since 2017. The Vikings lead the all-time regular season series 9-8, and the winner of the last 3 meetings between these two teams has been the home team. The Steelers, of course, are looking to change that tomorrow night at US Bank Stadium. So now it's time for our Keys to the Game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Let's check in one final time with Bob and Coach.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. It's time for the keys to this one. And Mike, when you talk about your offense, you got physical last week, something that was not there in Cincinnati. How important will that be in this game against that defense?
It's important, and much like last week, we didn't necessarily have the success we were looking for early, but we stayed with it. And I think we were able to wear them down as the game went on and to get the type of results we desired, particularly in the fourth quarter. And that's just the attrition component of play. And so there has to be a commitment there. Obviously, there has to be enough success early on to keep us there, but there needs to be a commitment. That is the personality that we desire. It gives us an opportunity to control the game and the latter portions of the game like we desire. And it also opens up things for us in terms of our play pass.
How difficult is it to prepare on a short week? What are the challenges from a coaching standpoint?
You know, I don't worry too much about it, to be honest with you. It's challenging, but it's challenging for all parties involved. It's challenging for us. It's challenging for the Vikings. Probably the most challenging component of it is the forecasting of player availability. During the course of a normal week, you know, you're probably able to predict who's available for you and for the opponent and make plans accordingly, whether someone's available or not, or make, you know, contingency plans and so forth. This game gets on you so quick. Some of those questions are left unanswered, and oftentimes, you know, you're in stadium getting a feel for the level of availability of people and their potential impact on the game for us and for the opponent. That's probably the most challenging part of it.
How about a challenge of playing in a dome like that, and does it do anything to your practice leading up to that? Do you change anything?
You know, it doesn't. I am interested in getting in the environment firsthand. I've obviously worked in Minnesota before, and I know the type of indoor environments they could have from a crowd noise standpoint. We anticipated being loud, but those game day atmospheres are unique and really tough to simulate, and it's something that we're just going to have to live out, and I look forward to doing it this Thursday night.
Another big game for the Steelers as they head down the stretch trying to get to 7-5-1. Steelers and Vikings coach, all the best. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for our program tonight. So for Coach Mike Tomlin, Missy Matthews, I'm Bob Pompeani. Getting set for the game tomorrow. We'll have a recap Sunday on KDK, and we'll see you next week as we get set for a home game against the Tennessee Titans. For now, this is Bob Pompeani. Have a good week, everyone, and we'll see you next time.